Stay with me, little bitch, yeah, you know that I'm your man. You be capping like a snitch, no thoughts, no stamps. New hoes, 10 toes, new guac, new bands, new whip, new chips, new kicks.
Interviewer, Dr. Raymond Ham, Site 85. Interviewee, SCP-049. Begin log, SCP-049, in French. So then, how should we begin? An introduction? Dr. Ham, aside, is that French? Can we get a translator? SCP-049, in English, the King's English. No need for translation, sir, I can speak it well enough. Dr. Ham, good. My name is Dr. Raymond Ham, and I, SCP-049. Ah, a doctor, a like-minded individual, no doubt. Wherein is your specialty, sir? Dr. Ham, cryptobiology. Why? SCP-049, laughs, a medical man, such as myself. Wonders abound. And here I worried I had been abducted by common street thugs. Looks around the room, this place, then. This is your laboratory? I had wondered, as clean as it is, and with such little trace of the pestilence here. Dr. Ham, the pestilence? What do you mean? SCP-049, the scourge, the great dying. Come now, you know, Paps Temple furiously, what is it they call it? No matter. The pestilence, yes, it abounds outside these walls, you know. So many have succumbed, and many more will continue to, until such time as a perfect cure can be developed. Leans back in its chair. Fortunately, I am very close. It is my duty in life to rid the world of it, you see. The cure to end all cures. Dr. Ham, when you say the great dying, are you talking about the bubonic plague? SCP-049, pauses, I don't know what that is. Dr. Ham, I see. Right, well, the entities our agents encountered at that house, they were dead when you encountered them, yes? And you reanimated them? SCP-049, HRMM, in a manner of speaking. You see things too simply, doctor. Expand your horizons. Life and death, sickness and health, these are amateur terms for amateur physicians. There is only one ailment that exists in the world of men, and that is the pestilence, and nothing else. Make no mistake, they were very ill, all of them. Dr. Ham, you think you cured those people? SCP-049, indeed, my cure is most effective. Dr. Ham, the things we recovered were not human. SCP-049, pauses and glares at Dr. Ham, yes, well, it is not a perfect cure, but that will come with time, and further experimentation. I have spent a lifetime developing my methods, Dr. Ham, and will spend a lifetime more, if necessary. Now, we have wasted too much time. There is work to do. I will require a laboratory of my own, one where I can continue my research unimpeded. And assistance, of course, though I can provide those on my own, in time. Laughs. Dr. Ham, I don't think our organization will be willing to. SCP-049, nonsense. We are all men of science. Fetch your coat and show me to my quarters, doctor. Gestures with pointed stick. Our work begins now. End log. Interviewer's note. While SCP-049 is capable of communicating in a very human way, there is a strange sense of unease that one experiences when in its presence. Make no mistake, there is something very uncanny about this entity indeed. Additionally, we've confiscated that pointed stick that SCP-049 keeps waving around. Part of this was due to standard confiscation protocols for the possessions of anomalies, and part because 049 really is a menace swinging it around like he does. The entity was displeased at first, but after we made some concessions in providing it with test subjects, which are, admittedly, more for the benefit of our own research, it warmed up to the idea. Addendum 049.2, Observation Log. While in containment at Site 19, SCP-049 has spent a considerable amount of time studying and performing surgery on the various mammalian corpses it has been provided. SCP-049 will routinely spend several days performing surgery, and then, regardless of whether or not the corpse becomes an instance of SCP-049-2, spending several more days documenting its findings in a thick leather journal stored within its doctor's bag. SCP-049 will often seek to share its findings with members of Foundation staff. The following is a log of several occasions during which SCP-049 was observed operating on a mammalian corpse. Observational Log 049. Old.1 Summary. Subject, SCP-049. Preface, a test subject, D85123, was introduced into SCP-049's containment cell. The entity expressed sincere gratitude towards all members of the containment and research staff. Observation notes. SCP-049 began by asking D85123 several standard medical questions, as it began removing tools from its bag. Shortly after finishing its preparations, SCP-049 quickly closed the distance between the two, killing the subject with a touch to its throat. Afterwards, SCP-049 made a number of considerable alterations to the basic structure of the subject's corpse, often introducing fluids from within its bag into the subject by way of a hand-powered pump and copper tubing. The resulting 049-2 instance became animated, flailing and grasping at the walls of the chamber with a number of manufactured limbs while moaning out of an oblong orifice now present in its sternum. During this time, SCP-049 was observed taking notes of the instance in its journal, and remarking to the watching research staff about the efficacy of its cure. Security personnel entered the chamber to move SCP-049 back to containment, and were attacked by the instance. The security team dispatched the 049-2 instance, and SCP-049 returned to containment with no resistance, stating that it was pleased with the results. Observational Log 049. OL.2 Summary. Subject: SCP-049. Preface: SCP-049 was provided the corpse of a recently deceased goat. SCP-049 expressed gratitude at the provision. Observation Notes: SCP-049 operated on the goat corpse for several days, eventually resulting in an instance of SCP-049-2. SCP-049 expressed pleasure in this outcome, though admitted the disease was still in its nascent stage. My veterinarian practice is rudimentary, but the patient responded well to the procedure. Observational Log 049. OL.3 Summary. Subject: SCP-049. Preface: SCP-049 was provided the corpse of a recently deceased orangutan. SCP-049 expressed noted gratitude at the provision, due to the similarities between the orangutan and common human physiology. Observation Notes: SCP-049 spent several days operating on the orangutan, reanimating it several times. However, SCP-049 appeared to be discontent with the results it experienced, returning to the creature 3 times after its initial reanimation for additional work. After it was unable to reanimate the corpse a 5th time, SCP-049 turned the corpse over to Foundation staff for incineration, stating, "I have learned so much from this, though I fear my early optimism was misplaced. I hadn't yet come across such a stumbling block on my road to the cure. More subjects like this would do a great deal in advancing my research." Follow-up interview. Begin log. Dr. Ham, we've watched you work for several weeks now, and honestly I'm not sure I understand what you're doing. Can you describe your process in detail? SCP-049, oh goodness no. The process is most intensive. As I said to your assistant, the best instruction you will find about my methods are here in my journals, as I have kept exhaustive records of my work 7 there. Dr. Ham, I see. My concern, doctor, is that we still don't understand what you're seeking to cure, or how it manifests, or how turning these creatures into quasi-living, mindless drones helps in that effort. SCP-049, you do not understand the pestilence, even after all this time? Doctor, it is an unspeakable horror, one that has shown its true face many times before and will again. I find myself blessed with the wisdom and good senses needed to root it out and destroy it, but many like yourself cannot. It is a cruel judgment, I fear, to be at the mercy of a disease you cannot fully comprehend. Dr. Ham, that still doesn't answer my question. How is your cure any kind of cure at all? SCP-049, growing suddenly agitated, it is a cure. You may laugh at my efforts if you please, but do not besmirch the good name of scientific progress that has developed this great mercy. What you so short-sightedly see here is a life better than any this creature could have hoped for, stricken as it was with pestilence. This creature is now clean, unable to spread the pestilence and free from the terror it would have experienced otherwise. Dr. Ham, this is hardly a creature at all, doctor, it's not even. SCP-049, very agitated, do not jape with me, sir. You and your colleagues are like so many others, unable to look past minor setbacks to see the salvation taking place before your very eyes. Do you wait to remove rotten timbers until the hall collapses on top of you? No. You find them and you pull them out and replace them with those untouched by rot. And most of all, you do not simply mock the structure because it now looks different to you. It is strong. It is free of disease. Dr. Ham, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to agitate you. I'm just trying to understand. SCP-049, deep breath. Yes, well, do mind your words in the future, doctor. I am a professional, but even professionals may feel the bite of pride in dealing with criticism of their masterpiece. I will forgive this as an act of good faith between colleagues. Dr. Ham, is there anything else I can help you with? SCP-049, pauses, looking away from Dr. Ham. No, that will be all. Another test subject, on the usual schedule. You know my preference of subjects with more human anatomies. End log. Attending researchers note, SCP-049 does seem to genuinely want to help other humans, though it has not yet been able to provide a concrete example of what exactly it is trying to save us all from. I have watched it now over several weeks, and while the outcomes do not seem to ever change, SCP-049 continues to claim that it is growing closer to its perfect cure. I think the entity may be more aware of the reality of these outcomes than it would like us to think. Addendum 049.3, April 16, 2017 incident. Starting shortly after SCP-049's initial containment, Dr. Ham conducted a number of interviews with the subject regarding its anomalous properties, and over time began to note its displeasure with its subjects and the SCP-049-2 instances. This continued for a period of several months, during which SCP-049 never exhibited any aggressive behaviors. On April 16, 2017, as Dr. Ham was entering SCP-049's test chamber to conduct another routine interview, the entity began to grow anxious and asked Dr. Ham if he was feeling well. Following protocol, Dr. Ham reminded SCP-049 that the interview was required, after which the entity became hostile and attacked Dr. Ham, killing him. Due to a lapse in security protocol, and because Dr. Ham did not activate the in-chamber emergency system, Dr. Ham's corpse was not discovered until 3 hours later, by which point SCP-049 had converted it into an instance of SCP-049-2. In the aftermath of this incident, SCP-049 was interviewed by Dr. Theron Sherman.